It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com. And welcome, everybody, to another edition of our Daily Gun Show. Come to you live every weeknight at midnight Eastern, and we talk about guns. On Thursdays, we talk about travel, we talk about training, and since last weekend was the largest gun show in the world, happens twice a year in Tulsa, Oklahoma, that is what we're talking about. This is called the Daily Gun Show because gun shows are pretty awesome. I've been a fan of gun shows my whole life, and I really like gun shows for lots of reasons. And we've done the Gun Show Loophole Tour, and then we've visited the show quite a few times over the years. And been to a lot of gun shows, and this is definitely the King Kong, I guess, of gun shows. It's the scale is many times larger than all the others. It's unique, and we're going to chat about it. So invited a bunch of people that went to the show. Clover jumped in from Texas. Clover Tack, thanks for jumping in.
Hey, appreciate the invite. Glad I could hop in, hopefully for a little bit here.
Yeah, it's kind of late, but that's what happens when we do an overnight show. So appreciate you staying up late to be part of the show. What time is it in your time zone?
It's 11 p.m.
Okay, so
here.
not quite as late as the East Coast.
Right.
But there's all kinds of people and different things. So, like I said, I invited a couple other people, and we'll see if anybody shows up. But I'm assuming that most of the people who are listening to this podcast, this show, tuning in, are aware of what gun shows are for sure. Probably know what Tulsa is, but just in case, not even not like in a nutshell, not even an elevator speech. I've already kind of described it, but if you were talking to somebody, I don't know, at a non-gun function, how would you describe the Tulsa show?
The largest gun show in the world, 4,000 to 5,000 tables under one 11-acre roof with guns, accessories, military surplus, history, you name it. It's pretty much all there.
And then my goal tonight, or my plan tonight, was to spend some time. I'm not going to make this a marathon session or anything. That's not the thing. But to take a look at some of the pictures that people posted and talk about the show compared to other shows, I guess, get people's perspective. Did you happen, now, I guess let me frame it for people that might be new. How long you been around guns, and how long you've been going to gun shows? How long you been going to the Tulsa show?
Since birth, been around guns. Going to gun shows, as far back as I can remember, quite honestly. So definitely single digit age, I would say. And then as far as Tulsa, 2017, I think 2017. I think we're in 5 years of going. Well, there wasn't any in 2020, unfortunately, or 2020. So we're in our 5th year now.
For what it's worth, I've just defaulted to ignoring that since the entire world took a knee. I don't even bring it up, except for to say like during the stress or something like that if I have to. But yeah, because I just get given everything was off except for so very few things kept going. But yeah.
So yeah, every show, put it to you that way, every show since 2017. Yeah,
because literally, it's not like you missed it; they just didn't do it. But with that being said, I had something and I messed it up. I interrupted myself there. So I was going to take a look at some of the pictures and things. But since you jumped in, I guess I was going to ask, did you watch Santee's show by any chance? I don't know. Did you say she's doing one right now, or she did one today?
No, they did one earlier. Her and I Am Johnny Snow.
Okay, I watched the one yesterday.
They do one on Wednesday, and that's usually a pretty strict topic show. And that's on her channel, and they do one on his channel on Thursday. That's more of the audience interaction, free for all.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't realize all that. But the one yesterday, did you happen to watch that one on CNT's channel?
Yes, I did.
So I have been around for a while, and I was probably going to reminisce on something like this. And I've been going to gun shows for a long time. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Something about what you said there made me think of it this way. When you've been around guns your whole life, I've been around guns my whole life. We're pretty old, so we're older than most people. And I just was in a different chat, completely different chat, but a new gun owner who's doing live chats, new to gun owning, new to live chats, and new to hosting the conversation amongst people on the internet, right? So really, really cool. I dig that, seeing people that are new to this whole thing and then just doing it, right? Especially, I mean, they don't even know it, but they're doing it. They're dumping in at the best time in the whole world, right? Like there hasn't ever been a better time to jump in and be part of a community online.
I would agree.
But regardless, I'm blown away, and I'm now just the same way. I won't acknowledge, I won't say like, except for, like we just said, because, everybody took a knee.
Right.
I'm just going to go ahead and just start changing my paradigm. And I'm going to change my paradigm to most gun owners are brand new. And there's why I'm going to say that. Something about, as I was getting ready to say this, as you were saying something there, as you were describing your history with guns, or your gun lineage, I don't know what the word is, that I was thinking when we were young, if someone came around, it's not like we're going to say, oh, snap, Urswell or Daniel just threw in. I don't know why people change their names. Just threw in $2. Appreciate it. So back in the day when we were little, somebody would have said, what are you up to? Or what do you do? You'd have said something like, I'm into semi-autos, because that was literally a new kind of thing. Like not that many people were into semi-autos because there just wasn't that many semi-autos. And when I was a kid, there was revolvers, rifles, lever actions, pumps and stuff like that, bolt actions. There wasn't a heck of a lot of sports. They were just kind of starting up. There was things you could do with a gun, like practice marksmanship or go hunting or collect them or do stuff to them. People would carve them and fiddle with them. Like, nowadays people like to make their property their own, right? Uh-huh. So there was these things, but you could say like, what are you into? And somebody might say, I'm into, what was the name for it? What was like a mountain man called back in the day? Like it wasn't pioneering. There was a name for like being a mountain man, like into rendezvous or something.
Yeah.
And that would be like, oh, okay. And now you could be at a gun show wearing your normal street clothes, but somebody could say, oh, you know what else would be a big thing back in the day? Recreating. Is that what it's called? Whatever it was called when people would reenact battles. Yeah. So somebody would be at a gun show and they'd be buying all this World War II stuff, maybe off of somebody, like somebody's uniform or their dad's uniform or their grandpa's uniform back then, or dad's uniform usually back then. But then sometimes it would be like a store that just bought, let's say, 100 trousers, large blue, from some company that didn't even know if they were sending them to the Navy or Marines because they hadn't been through the process to get whatever stripe was going to go to Army or Navy. Like there was very minor differences, and some of this stuff just stopped production. So this surplus stuff was just available, and you'd go to gun shows back in the day, and it was just a whole different thing. Imagine surplus stores 50 years ago at a gun show. It was crazy different. And the prices were insane. Anything you think that is expensive now was basically free. Like they didn't want it because they had so many of them. And it was just a different mindset. So when we said, oh, I'm a reenactor, somebody would roll their eyes and go, I'm only here for the hunting. I can't believe you people, like, you don't know what war is. It's the equivalent of like the airsofters for a little while, the equivalent of the LARPers, for a minute there was like,
sure,
those Dungeons and Dragons and people would LARP or whatever that was called back in the day. So anyway, we get this like eras of gun owners or whatever, and we would be like, what are you into? And then think about it, like 10 years ago, 5 years ago, we'd say, oh, I share stuff online. People go, what are you talking about? What do you mean? And we wouldn't have said it that way. I don't know what I would have actually said in 2009. I think I would have had to say I build websites, because that's all people would have understood back then. But you know what I mean? Like we would have had this different conversation. So now jumping into it in 2022, from now on, I'm just going to assume even a grown adult that I talk to is brand new to guns and doesn't know nothing. Like is bought like 2 guns or whatever. Like people nowadays, I meet people. I know more people I think in the last 2 years that own like 1 or 2 guns.
Right.
I don't know anybody. I know babies that own 1 or 2
Right.
guns. You know
What
what I
I
mean?
was struck by, and I've been around Santee and Johnny's chats for a while now. And what I was struck by last night when they were talking about Tulsa was the amount of people in the chat that have never even been to a gun show, not even a local at the
Yeah.
National Guard Armory or like nothing.
Why would you if you've never been into guns, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like, wow, that's, and I'm like, and I remember making a comment that wouldn't it be cool for your first gun show to be Tulsa, the
I
largest
don't
in the
know.
world?
I don't
It's
know.
like, that
I
could
don't
be
know.
neat. That would certainly ruin you for every other show, I think.
Well, what if
Because,
you weren't a gun person? I think I heard you say that, and a whole bunch of stuff flashed through my head because I don't like just casually go to gun shows. It's
well,
not like to me, it's
once
not
you're
like a
into
movement.
guns,
I'm into it.
no. Once for somebody that is into them and have a few and are interested in them at all, I think, if you make the decision to, go to some gun shows, that could be a cool thing for your first gun show to be the largest in the world. But on the flip side, I know after I went to Tulsa for the first time, I never viewed any other gun. I've never viewed another gun show since in the same light. And it's not a horrible thing. It's not necessarily even a bad thing, but
No,
it
it's just
just,
different. It's like
you
going to
walk
an
in and you're
IMAX,
like, it's like, yeah, right. And then watching it
right?
on a 13-inch television or
Yeah,
something.
like you just know that
Yeah.
there's that IMAX, and you kind
Yeah.
of always have to wonder, or you know what I mean? Yeah, it's like that, right?
Or I would
Well,
say we normally go to the movie theater, especially for special occasions that have the big comfortable recliners and they serve you food and all that kind of stuff, right? It's
right.
like going to a rinky dink local theater as opposed to some cush with all the amenities and just there's more there, right? They got the arcade there, they've got the
Right,
bar,
and
they've
that's
got,
what I guess I'm getting at is you might get
yeah,
unrealistic expectations. You go to that one as your only one, you're going to think, "Oh, they're so crowded." Well, they're not all crowded. I mean, there's VFW halls that are you
sure.
can't even be more opposite. And then you could think, "Oh, well, here's the other thing I was going to say once we get into it a little bit. It's a unique show for its size and scale and its age and
Uh-huh.
its attendance. There's lots of reasons it's unique, but also
True.
the stuff there. It's not a normal gun show. The promoters, is it twice as much or maybe 3 times as much for a table if you're going to sell garbage that isn't guns, and they don't
Right.
even want you there. Like they'll let you because the law says they can't discriminate against who's going to show up, but they make you cost money. And because if you think about it, because the show is is against non-gun stuff, you bring in non-gun stuff is like the dumbest thing to do. You're not going to make any money. If you brought candles there, you're not going to make any money because absolutely nobody wants those. And then no one's going, well, there's going to be 4 or 5 candles there. I'm going to go because I'm a
Right.
candle person. You know what I mean? You're just not going to make money. So that part of it, crazy. You're never going to go to a gun show because promoters can't bring that many gun people.
Well,
They don't have that kind of clout.
I've bought some pretty neat things that are not guns at gun shows, right? And I'm talking
Oh,
about
no, I
not,
know. And I'm
and
just saying, if you went to
I'm
that
not
one,
talking about. Let me back up because I want to be clear for people out there that might be listening. I don't mean firearm hunting outdoor adjacent, right? Military adjacent. I don't mean that. I mean literally. I got some pot
like that
holders one
remote
time.
control car, or wait, what do we get?
Well,
Helicopter.
yeah, the drones. Yeah, the drones. But also I've bought and they're still in the cabinet. I love them. But to their credit, the table had guns, but his wife made these really cool pot holders in the shape of a bowl. And so they're perfect for your ice cream bowl that might be cold or your chili bowl that might be hot, right, or whatever. And so you can, you don't burn your hands if you've ever nuked a thing of chili. You understand what I'm talking about. But, but I bought things like that, but it, I'm not there to buy that. I get what you're saying, right? You don't go there looking for that. That's something that you pass by
Well, I
while
just
you're
mean,
there, and you're like, oh, well, that's cool. And it's not gun related, but it's something that's cool, and you just happen across
I
it.
was thinking more along the lines of if that's your first show, you go to another show, you're never going to find a
Yeah.
show that's that like high a percentage of guns.
Right.
And not that that's a good or bad thing. It's just different. But like you say, there's some shows where, I don't know, like the nuts or whatever they are. I think they're nuts. Maybe they have almonds down here or pecan. I don't know what it is. There's some nuts that they make down here in Arizona, and I think it might be them. But anyway, at Christmas time or something, they'll cook them. And I don't really like cinnamon, but I'm used to smelling it at gun shows at this point. So you go to a gun show at Christmas and you're going to smell these cinnamon nuts that they're making.
And I've seen who doesn't love bacon, right? I've seen people do like homemade chocolate bacon candy
Yeah. So,
bars,
and that might be the only place you
beef
can get it.
jerky and some things like that. Yeah, yeah.
And that might be the only place you can get it from a mom and
But
pop type of roaming place because they might be on
right,
the road and that's the time that they're in. Let's say you're in neck of the woods, or
right.
you got to go to some like I don't know some dumb home show or something instead of a gun show to get it, and instead of having to go to the home show next weekend wherever they're at.
Right.
Anyway, so there's just I'm just saying as far as the first gun show, it's almost too much. Like I guess
Could
it's
be.
the difference between going to like some giant real circus versus the kind of thing that sets up in a strip center parking lot on a weekend.
Yeah, but
What are you going to go to the first time? It's not like one's better than the other. They're just drastically different. If you go to the one, everything's better. And if you go to the other, everything's not the same, right?
that's
Everything's never going to
well,
compare.
that's what I was getting at. If you go to something like Tulsa and Woods out there is saying their gun shows about 25% just BS stuff. I think most of the little locals would fall into that range from what I've experienced. And so when you go to Tulsa, there's not nearly as much of that stuff. And then when you go, that's one of the things you will definitely notice when you go to a smaller one that there's, more of the candles and the, you know,
And now I don't want to just breeze
whatever.
past
Yeah.
that because that's what most people are going to do, especially because most people aren't been going to gun shows their whole lives. And trust me, I've been going to gun shows since I can't even remember not going to gun shows, and they've been ever since I've been a little kid. They've been the thing I look forward to the most. Always, like it's always how long till the next gun show.
Well,
Always when I was a little kid,
yeah.
and growing up. Even when I wasn't into guns, I would still go to gun shows out of habit and because of the camaraderie. The same thing that we get with these live shows is what you get at gun shows. And some of the people, some of the vendors and stuff are kind of like
Yeah.
the regulars. But then there's the other people that show up. And since everybody's friendly, it's just pleasant conversations about topics you care about. You're perpetuating good info. You're learning.
Right.
And it's just a healthy interaction with others. And it's
Well,
vital to the continuation of the country for the most part. You want to make sure that you get other fathers and mothers aware of stuff so they can teach it to their kids. You want to make sure that your kids are hearing from other perspectives, right? And you get that at a gun show that's different than a range. It's not noisy. You're not shooting. There's none of this like, oh, look at my gun. Well, there's some of that, but you know what I mean? It's not like at the range where it's bang, bang, bang. Oh, look at my guns. Let's talk about hunting, or let's talk about where we're going for dinner. And you don't really talk about guns at a range unless you're the kind of person that sits around talking about guns at the range. Where at a gun show, you get that opportunity to, and it's just so many more people. Anyway, I'm gonna get off into topics all night, but without trying to do that, did you have anything that I'm cutting you off from before we head on?
Yeah, I mean, when we talk about the non gun related stuff, I mean, and I've figured this for a long time, is that people don't go. The vast majority of people, especially if you see people that go repeatedly, they're not going because they're losing money there. There is a certain market for stuff. You've got wives, girlfriends, kids, nieces, nephews, whatever the case may be, right? And so this is one thing I did. We run the gun show circuit here in Texas. I little company on the side, you could call it, and we made 2 shows. I had a crew that worked, well, my son and some of his friends type thing, but a crew that worked, and we would work 2 gun shows every weekend for about a year. And this was in 2013. This was at the height of all the
Oh,
2013 silly, right? And I don't have an FFL, and so what we focused on was not knickknack junk, candles and beef jerky. I tried to keep things. We of course used stuff, reloading equipment, and other things we might find at yard sales or auctions or whatever. Of course, we would throw on the table, but also I found a lot of different wholesale places that dealt with things. And one of the things that sold really, really well, and this is what provoked me into the idea that there is still a market there for stuff, is toy guns, like, you know what I'm saying, or toy bow and arrows or things like that. Uh, there is a market for the people walking around and the little kid, getting something from a gun show, right? And so uh, that's just what got me thinking, uh, reminiscing about that and thinking about non-gun stuff. It's like there's still a place for a little bit of it, but when it gets out of hand and the gun show becomes a flea market, it's a totally different situation.
All right. Well, I'm glad that you brought those points up, and because then 2 things. One, I'm going to throw in here a concept that I thought about as you were saying that, in that exactly what you just said. Will gun shows save the economy? if we are heading into a massive recession or the worst depression ever, are we heading into a time when people are going to, one, want to sell their stuff, two, want to do more face-to-face because it's expensive and shipping? And, we're used to really cheap, free shipping for a long time. We've been accustomed to that, and that's not the way it used to be. Remember long distance and stuff? People aren't used to, like, the reason gun shows existed is because there wasn't an Amazon.
Right.
Like, you went to a gun show or else. Nothing, pretty much. That was it. Like, you went to gun shows constantly, or gun shops constantly, which we also did. But anyway, will they save the economy? Yes or no? Or I guess I'll have to put in a, come on, man. Did you see the thing? And then the other thing is what I also wanted to definitely touch on, and that's because I was going to say so many people are new to guns, completely new, or not new necessarily. It depends on what we want to call new. I'm 50, so I've been around guns my whole life, and anybody who's not 50 and been around guns their whole life or older than me has been around guns less than me, so that's anybody, right? So
I pretty much consider anybody, this is wrong probably, but for me, and it's a personal thing, new, I kind of, people that did not live through and kind of understand the 94 AWB, right? Like things like that. If you didn't live through that or understand it, right? If you don't readily talk, you see the cycle we're in now, and you completely are oblivious to previous cycles, right?
Yeah, that's a good way to say it.
It's like, to me, you're new. You may be around a decade or even two, but if you were oblivious,
you're inexperienced. You're just inexperienced.
Right,
you might know everything in the world about the gun, but that's like being a new driver. You know everything about the techniques and the whatever. You practiced a lot. You just haven't been on a racetrack with other drivers and experience what it's like when your pit crew fails you, or something. You know what I mean? Like you just haven't experienced the ups and downs of real life, and that's just experience. Trust me, nobody knew that. We didn't sit around going, can't wait to have all these experiences because we know the internet's coming or anything like that. You know what I mean? We were we assumed we were going to live the same kind of boring stuff our grandparents lived on Mars because it seemed like space was still on a trajectory. And it all went crazy after some point there.
Yeah, the big complaint now that you hear about gun shows all the time is the prices are higher, right? It's like, oh, the prices were just so high. I remember people in the 80s complaining about the same thing. Right. And it's like local in the parking lot of the show. They're like, oh, did you see what he wanted for that? Blah, blah, blah. It's just too high. Like
there's never been a time where people were like, wow, the prices are amazing. Actually, there has been since the internet. If you pay attention, there are times when people go, oh, we got a relief. Like, oh, remember, like, who everybody hates just to acknowledge is Yeager. He'll be the first one. James Yeager will be the first one multiple times because I've been around all these cycles. I've been a fan of Yeager since the early 2000s when he first helped us out when we were nothing, just asking him for a handout help. And he was gracious enough to give us help out of nowhere. And then all along the way, he's been the same. He's a great, one of the best people I know on the planet. But that dude said multiple times, this is the good old days. Go buy. This is the good old days. And not like go buy XYZ for my code, but like you're never going to get cheaper ammo. You're never going to get cheaper AR-15s. And he wasn't necessarily always 100% at the cheapest time, but certainly in the grand scheme of things, he sees those cycles and he knows when there's a let up in between the cycles. And when it's not just that, it's more complicated. Of course, there's more variables because in the last, since middle of the 2000s, the same as the internet's growing and people are able to communicate and talk more, but we're also seeing less expensive home machinery and machinery that's affordable for the small manufacturer. And you're seeing people who take the leap, who are willing to jump out and become entrepreneurial or get venture capitalism and take projects and ideas and turn them into products. And that's never happened. And when that happened to AR-15s and the Ruger platform, remember when the AR-15 was like, oh, look, we can buy different grips. Oh, look, we can buy different handguards. Then there was like, option, boom. You don't even have to buy a Colt piece of nothing. Ruger, same thing. Boom. As soon as the Ruger broke in half, whenever they made the takedown model, it was no holds barred. Like there was already a ton of aftermarket 1022 stuff. I keep saying Ruger, I'm thinking 1022. But when even the Mark II, though, there's so many Ruger things that are modular at this point where at least people have made aftermarket. Is it because Ruger makes it too heavy and complicated or whatever? Maybe, but it's also because they make it in a way that people are like, I want this chassis, but I just want it to be able to do this.
Right.
But anyway, yeah, we started to see more and more companies jump in and, prototyping, 3D printing, prototyping, allowing you to go from idea to concept, printed, prototype, send it to a competent Texas-based metal manufacturer and have it as a metal part that you can sell. Like, what's the turnaround on that now? Unfortunately, what we didn't do is take that to gun shows. I mean, to some extent, some are at gun shows, but yeah, could gun shows change the economy? Because as the internet is shown to be not just awesome, but also potentially fragile and not necessarily secure or our best and only option, it should be used with other things in conjunction with, as gun shows develop and turn into small business fairs for. Anyway, so I guess I'm rambling off in many directions. I could talk about gun shows all the time, but I guess where I was going with that is the gun shows were. I'm going to rewind a bunch. I was getting at that most of these people are new, and the opinions of gun shows are from the newest gun shows, the most recent gun shows, which are definitely different than they used to be, like we kind of alluded to, but also by people who don't know what they're talking about. It's like having a bunch of 16-year-olds review cars, and you can be as knowledgeable as you want. You're 16 years old. You can be as skilled and as naturally talented, or you could have earned your skills, but you're 16 years old and you're just not going to have the same experience as a 50-year-old driver, right? Like, that's what we're talking about. So the gun shows that people go to and the advice they're getting are narrow in scope only because people who they're getting that info from or people are willing to talk about the gun shows are. And again, I'm just not really here to rag. I'm just saying I'm not going to let it go that gun shows have gotten bad because XYZ. Well, here's the XYZ. The reason gun shows have gotten the way they are is because you get what you get. Like, you get what you, if people, I've always said, if you don't go to gun show, if you ignore gun shows, they will go away. If you don't go to gun shows, then they will get bad. So what happens is, think about it. Let's just do the nuts and bolts. An event location, right? A fairgrounds or an auditorium building or a parking lot, a swap meet place, wherever it is they have the gun show, costs something. Like, that place doesn't just exist for free. Sure. So that costs something. Let's say it costs, just for round numbers, $1,000 a weekend. So now they got to go, okay, we need $1,000 and we got to pay people to be here. So let's say it costs $2,000 for them. So that's $1,000 a day. All right, let's divide it into 100 tables. And what is that, $100 a table? I don't know, whatever the math is. They just start doing the math. And then they go, okay, how many people are going to show up? Let's say 1,000 people show up to your 1,000 table. Well, it's crazy numbers, but you know what I mean? They're going to get some amount of calculation to figure out so many people are going to show up. How do we get those people in the door? Advertising. What does it cost for advertising? It starts to be more numbers. Do we do radio? What is it? Billboards, the little signs. You've seen this, whatever they do for gun shows. Is it word of mouth? Are any of them creative? When have you seen a creative internet campaign for a local gun show? The gun show promoters started doing their thing back in the day, and very much like race car or circus or any promoter of any event, they get their pattern down, they get their routine, they get what makes them money. And very few of them are rich and running around in fancy jets. They're barely cutting through because they're providing a service for people who either hate them or acknowledge that they exist. But very few people are passionately thankful that they create this service, because most people think of gun shows as something that is somebody's obligation and we're entitled to them. And that's the shitty part. And unfortunately, the promoters won't talk to me and just give me a bunch of money. So they're a couple of bucks really. So I could just get over the hump and spend my time promoting gun shows for them, because I could mansplain the shit out of them. But what we see with the new stuff is the potential for gun shows. So that's all I wanted to say is the gun shows that we got today aren't because somebody's a jerk or old people suck or FUDs or I don't know, whatever even people think about gun shows, honestly, because I can't even imagine what they think about them. But what we got is what we get. And there's no reason it's got to stay that way. Gun shows have changed so many times. We should have a show sometime if you're interested and try to think about how many times have the gun shows changed in our lifetimes. There was the old World War II stuff for sure. Then there was all the black nylon stuff when SWAT and black nylon and SAS was cool. And then it was woodland camo. Holy shit. When it went from, I can remember when it went from World War II stuff everywhere to the Korean War stuff. And it was like, ooh, this is a little bit different. It's got like angled pockets on it, or like, ooh, this canvas has, some kind of different metal instead of the old fashioned one or whatever. Like, subtle changes and shit. And it would be new. It wouldn't be all worn out or have blood on it or something. And then it went to woodland. And then, like I say, these different like phases, but then also, there was guns. Then there was Dan Wesson and your like 44 Magnums. This was a little bit before my time, but I'm assuming that was a thing when everybody went from like 38s and 1911s to like 44 Magnums, Dirty Harry and that kind of thing. Like that was not an insignificant wave. And then people were like, well, I can't afford a 44 Magnum, but I can get a nice 357 now, or something like that. And then you get to the semi-autos that weren't 1911s. Then you get to aluminum frames. I can't even imagine how many. Like I say, there's a ton. There's got to be multiple. And then you get to the assault weapons ban. You get the 1968 Gun Control Act. How did that affect gun shows? Right. Interstate commerce coming into play, like all these interstate, tri-state gun shows that happen right on state lines. Yep. That was mainly for population, not because of laws. Now they are, laws are a factor now. Right. Anyhow, so getting in. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I know you probably want to get back to Tulsa specifically, but two things that you mentioned that I wanted to hit on. Number one is with shows and the promoters. So with working with a couple of different promoters back in 2013, I learned real quick that they pretty much only get the door. Everything else is the venue, the security, the whatever else, you know what I'm saying, the overhead, the cost of the tables for the vendors, that pretty much covers the overhead, and then they get the door. So if they get 500 people in that weekend, if they get 1,000, if they get whatever, and it takes it's a pretty bumping show to get 1,000 people through the door, to be quite honest with you. It from what I've seen back in at least 2013. Second thing is you talk about the less experienced people. Some of the complaining, I think, as far as prices in the gun show, and I've talked about this before, not in the same way, I don't think, comes from those inexperienced people, because part of it is just not what they're into. And I'll give you a few examples. So come out of Tulsa, and I've had this happen a couple times. Again, largest gun show in the world. And it's like, oh man, the prices were just too high. Blah, blah, blah. Did you see the price on this or that? And I come away with two like 22 rifles that were a steal, or I come away with 4570 ammo or 4440 ammo that was a steal. So there's really good deals to be had, but if you're not experienced enough or into those certain things where the deals are at, you never see them. Kind of like the Emperor's New Clothes, right? Kind of theory almost.
Well, sorry, I just walked away and came back, but it sounded like, I don't think you hit exactly this, but it's the people that go for the ammo, and then, I can't find ammo, so the gun show's no good.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, they talk about the prices on the the firearms or something like that, but but that's what I said. I've come away from gun shows with great deals on, because I like all types of firearms. So I'm looking at prices and things on all types. I'm an opportunistic buyer. So I'm not looking for the latest, greatest poly pistol or, any one particular cool tactical thing or whatever it might be. I'm looking for, hey, where's the deals at this show, right? And because I have a little more experience and what's out there in the world and what can be had and what it typically goes for.
And a palette, right? Like you care about, you are interested in one of them.
It's easier. Yeah, it's easier for me to spot those deals. So that's just something that comes with experience.
And you've got a contact list. So you know that, oh, wow, I don't like this, but I know somebody who does, and they got the thing I want. And now I got the thing I want because we're about to trade this when I bring it to them. You've got that somebody else who's not paying attention to that. I only want my thing. I only want my thing. I didn't see my thing. I'm leaving. Well, you missed a whole bunch of stuff that is adjacent to your thing, or you don't even know. And I can't even imagine how many times I've moved something over and there's the thing I've been looking for.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You just didn't see it because you were something else or looked right.
Well, my Tulsa finds, as far as firearms go, typically happen in the last few hours of the show on Sunday. And I find something on a table, and I don't know if it's because more stuff on the table sold, you know what I mean? And so the tables are sparse, but it's a table I walk by 15, 20, 30 times.
People will put stuff up too. they'll do that. They'll move stuff around just
And
to
you're
be
like, oh
whatever
crap,
randomly.
I've never seen this. What do you want for it? And you're like, well, heck yeah, I'm going to pay that. That's an awesome buy. What the hell?
Something you were saying there is kind of like I was thinking of the idea of like if somebody went to a Walmart or someplace or a store to get bread or something, or maybe they're going even to a farmer's market and they're like, I'm getting tomatoes. Well, they know there's going to be a certain amount of tomatoes there. Maybe they got somebody they like, and if they don't got the kind of tomatoes, they're going to find 4 others that are similar. So if you go to a gun show with that mindset, like I'm going to go there and I'm going to find the XYZ that I've been looking for. And for whatever reason it's popular or it's just plentiful, right? You're going to find a couple of them. Well, that's the people that got there up early on Saturday and they're not out hunting and they're at the gun show and they paid all the fees and they got to pay for their brother-in-law to show up and he's an asshole. So, you know what I mean? They got all this stuff going on and that's on the price. And you want the price like your friend's giving it to you because he needs a new car or something, or he needs a new motorcycle, right? So that's where it's like you're going to get it. You're ending yourself into frustration is what I'm getting at. But if pretty much what you said, if you go to a gun show and you think of it as a swap meet where, hey, if I find what I'm looking for, awesome. But you know what? I'm at a swap meet and I got $40. And I think of it as dollar cost averaging. I don't know if that's the right word, but I figured if I'm paying to get into the gun show back when I used to have to pay to get into gun shows, if I'm paying $10 or whatever to get in, then I'm buying at least 10 things if I can, or something that costs a lot so that's getting 8. So in other words, I want to save $30 on something so that I got into the gun show for free and I saved $20. And if that makes sense. Yeah. So I'm buying something at the gun show and I'm not going to the gun show if I'm not bringing enough money to get in for free that way. And you can do that with ammo. You can do that with magazines. There's a lot of people that are like, I buy a gun and I got my 4 magazines. I'm crazy. I'm like, I got 4 magazines. I'm ready for Mad Max days.
Right.
Come on. Like I'll buy 4 magazines at every gun show for a year and then be satisfied that I kind of got into shows for free. Right?
Well, and one thing that I see a lot too, I see Alex out there. He says the table sellers prey on the average person that attends the show. There's going to be some of that, just like there's some gun shops that are horrible and big box stores that have things overpriced and whatever the case may be. There's a few dynamics, in my opinion, at play there. First of all, when you walk into a legitimate brick and mortar big store, be that a gun store, sporting goods store, or the supermarket, for example, the price is there. You say, oh, okay, well, I can afford that. I can't afford that. I'm going to pick that up, right? And you walk up there and you pay for it. Nobody really, when you have that established price in a brick and mortar setting, nobody has the haggle and offer counter offer mentality. Pretty much everybody that goes to a gun show has that. They know going in they're going to haggle on the price, and the people at the table know this. I've sold a lot of things, like I said, work shows. And yeah, I would price it a little bit high. Why? That way, if somebody cut me an offer, we could counter offer, we could meet in the middle. And at the end of the day, they've got to pay for their space. They got to pay for if they've got, somebody that they hired. In my case, I did to work that show. And it's not like you end up buying things necessarily for an exorbitant price. Now, my point with this is this. I've seen tons of shows, and Tulsa is no different, and seen it this time, that somebody would say, how much was that? And, oh, so-and-so, did you see they had all these? And they're like, yeah, they wanted X number of dollars, $800 for that gun. And it's not worth but $7. And it's like, well, did you make him an offer?
Yeah.
They're like, no, it had that on it. And I walked off. Now, that's a strategy where the person at the table, probably put a little too high of a price on it. And so nobody inquired. They to haggle. They just walked off.
No. Well, okay, go ahead.
It could be. I'm saying it could be.
But it'll show the size of Tulsa with the people walking by. What do you expect that they're going to put the lowest price they're going to expect to get? Like, I hope I can get this much. No, they're going to put the price of like the richest dude who's coming in, doesn't know his cents from his elbows.
Right.
And they're going to put that price on there. And if you walk around, like you say, and just are timid list, like I go to Walmart and the price is on the thing, or like I wait for it to be on clearance and it tells me what the price is clearance. Right. Like that's good luck. That's not the place to go to a swap meet or a gun show or any kind of Comic-Con, right? If people are going to Comic-Con and paying what's on the table, then guess what? You could pay less than that. Like that's what it's all about.
Yeah. Right.
But here's the other thing is, I was going to cut you off before you got
to ask. That was my point.
Yeah, exactly. You got to have interaction. That's what it's about too. And that's a whole another part of it, because some people are characters and you learn real fast. Like, oh, this guy, worthless. I know a bunch of people that are worthless. Like, yeah, they mark this stuff up because they're there for the suckers, and big deal. Like, I'll just not go to their table. It's not like it's the whole show, and it doesn't ruin the show for me.
Yep.
But the thing is, let's say that you're selling a lever gun and somebody's walking around with a shotgun you want real bad. You got your lever gun, $100 extra bucks on it, $200 extra bucks, whatever it's appropriate. You know, you got some extra money on it, on the price tag. They want to sell that shotgun. Oh, how about 200 in this lever gun? They look at the lever gun, see the price. I mean, like, boom, you just got that. That's really handy at a show, and people don't think about that again if they're thinking of it as a Walmart or a, you know, what the price you use, what you pay.
Yeah, yeah.
And maybe that's maybe getting haggling in something. Maybe that's going out of style. Maybe it's not a cool thing anymore. Maybe it's a skill you don't get when you're dealing with Amazon or eBay. You know,
this is true.
Pay more. It's the other side. You know, it's like, hope I get it before I have to pay more. It's not like that at a gun show. It's the other way around.
Or growing up in the world, you know, it's just a product maybe of growing up in the world. Less personal interaction, less attendance to swap meet, less, you know, more online transactions. Kind of hard to haggle online, right? More online transactions. Debit cards and credit cards is another thing. Cash is obviously king when you walk into a gun show, and people are definitely willing to.
People that grew up without cash very often, like rarely, Ubers and all these things. I want to say different interaction, because if we're going to a gun show all weekend, what are we not doing all weekend? I've never been to sports in my life. I got dragged to one baseball game ever. All I can remember is eating hot dogs or whatever. Like, it wasn't. I wasn't doing a whole bunch of stuff other people did, so it's not like they aren't getting out and around. It's just they're getting out and around stuff that isn't guns, so they're just not honing that whatever skill set.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, and who cares? Because the old gun shows are gone anyway. But I still think that's kind of interesting that there could definitely be, with this new kind of way of doing gun shows that's been going around. We've been to a bunch of things. These new, HOMA and the Gathering and stuff. Those things are adjacent. You know, they're the evolution of the big three and those kind of things. Eric's birthday. So anyway, so let's go over to Tulsa. I don't want to go much more than an hour or an hour.
Yeah, let's get back on Tulsa.
20 minutes.
Absolutely.
So
Tulsa 2022 specifically.
Yeah, we're not getting paid to do it, but I do like to take a look at it. And
this is great. I mean, I know you're not, but you know, we sort of have since 2017. We've got an obligation to talk about the show, promote the show. That's, you know, one of the things that we do for that particular show. So, and I say we because, you know, just like you did not attend this go around, but we're having this conversation. So it's all part of promotion for the show and making people aware it exists.
Yeah, and let's show them why. So that's what I was going to say. So I'm just going to go on here and I'm going to type in Tulsa Gun Show, because I think that's what most people would end up typing in, and find out what we get. Now, this is going to be tweaked to some extent because it's got to be paying attention to me a little bit, I think, but I am using this. Is this DuckDuckGo? I forget what it's even called. You know, I'm not using Google. So it shouldn't be watching me. It should be, you know, giving me a fairly random. Anyway, so I just figured let's take a look. Clover's into sites or websites and the internet stuff, and most people aren't. So we're going to take a little bit more nerdy look than normal. But when I do a quick search for Tulsa Gun Show, of course, their website shows up. We'll take a look at that in a moment. We get a gun trader or a gun show trader, which is sort of like a classified. It's like a Craigslist, I guess, or I don't know. It's probably like a calendar for gun shows.
Right.
Looks like a couple of pages, 3 of those. Gun shows, which is probably something real similar. There's a couple of 3 pages for that. Then we get their website again, readfrontier.org. Oh, nice. Video surveillance of some kind of thing at Wanamaker. So that came up. Let's see. Then that gun show trader, Fest Hunt, Tulsa Arms. So they're not getting lost under Tulsa Gun Show for sure.
Well, I'm on obviously Google, and I just typed the same as you, Tulsa Gun Show. Now,
similar list.
It was their website, of course, on the homepage, and then just directories, right? Gun show directories. But as I go over to the first page on videos, I see 45 Alpha Charlie Papa, which is his.
Oh, that's a good way to look at
it. Which rip to him. He passed away. If nobody knows, but I think 2 or 3 of his videos from Wanamaker are on the very first page. And then if I go to images, there's a slew of stuff that as you scroll down, you'll recognize some of the folks. I see there is a thumbnail from one of your videos you did one time. Gizzard Gary's got some stuff up here.
You're
45
talking.
ACP
Well, let's do one at
myself.
a time. So when you go, let's do videos first because that's we're on a video platform.
Mhm.
So when you look at yours, is it similar to mine, or are you getting a different search? Do you want a screen share? Or
Yeah,
can you?
mine looks totally different, but yeah.
Oh, okay. So does it tell you who the channel is? Because I can see that
Yeah.
this is either Sarge Obnoxious or maybe Gizzard.
Yeah,
This
it
would have
does.
been a different show. So let's look at yours, or because I'm not using Google, I don't have it on this machine.
It does if it's yeah. So
But this one, I'm seeing somebody's with a 15-second one. Oh, that's probably Santee because here it is right here with an 8-minute one, and that's Santee's sort of slideshow. Somebody misread Phoenix, maybe?
so yeah, there.
And then another, I don't know what this one is. It's something else. This
Yeah,
is,
it's too small on my screen. I can't see.
oh, here, I didn't see that.
But either way, it's getting traffic. So
Go ahead. I got your screen on the screen now.
oh yeah, I was just saying. There's that one is actually Tulsa armshow.com. So not anything on the tubes. But there's God Family Guns, Sarah Whaley. I don't know who that is.
That's the knob right there.
That yeah. Mhm. And then you've got if you scroll on down, there's 45 ACP. There's another one from him. There's
Okay, so
Talk-
this is, you're looking at like a different view of the videos, basically. I forget what they call that. Like,
maybe.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at it in some kind of thumbnail. So that way you get way more info from it, though. Yeah, so that's
Right,
pretty neat. So that's from this year, though. So they're showing you, who's that first one then? 4-minute video.
The very first one is on the TulsaArmsShow.com. So I don't know.
Is that them?
I don't know. I'll have to click it and see.
Yeah, that's them. That's their show. That's
yeah,
their
that is
website.
that's actually theirs. Yeah, and that makes sense with
Yeah,
with
that's
how
good
long
then.
it's been up. Yeah,
Well, and that's up just since whatever, so they're grabbing that.
yep.
All right, so yeah, if I go back to looking at mine, mine's just more of a thumbnail. Can I zoom in? Yeah, I can zoom in a little bit. So this looks definitely like Santee's. There's Santee's. This is some kind of YouTuber, I'm guessing, largest gun show. Here's somebody talking about building an AR. This is a shoot, so that's OFAST and from 2018. When's the last time Sarge and Obnoxious were at Tulsa? Would that have been 19?
No, that was November. I think they were both there in November
This was last year?
of
Just
last
in
year.
November of 21?
I don't know that was, but that was the last time I think they were there. Was November.
But definitely not this one because they weren't both at this one.
No.
And then this was somebody doing an interview with the Blue Book. This is another one. I'm assuming that's a YouTuber. So they're getting some coverage. And see, this is the kind of stuff like this thumbnail. This is the kind of stuff that catches people's eye, I would think. That's roll call.
Roll call, yep. Sure is.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah. All right, so that's one of the things I wanted to do, so I'm glad we did that. And then same thing with images. Now, when your image one shows up, it's similar. Whatever they call this.
Yeah, it's tile like that. Yeah. Yeah.
So we're seeing a lot of images of it, which is cool. And I saw the one because there was an accident, whatever you call the discharge, and I saw it in my list here under news, but quite a ways down. And then I didn't see anything under videos about it.
Right.
And then under images, I'm not seeing anything really either. These are all more vendors, it looks like, or reviews like Arms List or Car Talk. That's probably like a blog or something or a podcast. Yeah. Tulsa World, it might be some kind of local news.
I can tell you now that if you put Tulsa Gun Show, you get almost completely different results than if you put Wanenmacher in there. Wanenmacher. If you do that, then you get totally different results. So, because that's a very unique name, right?
Yeah.
So
if you type in Wanamaker Gun Show, now it won't be a bunch of news about gun shows. Instead, it'll be stuff focused on Joe Wanamaker and his show
and his
specifically,
particular
not
show.
just gun shows in general. This is
Yeah.
Snobs. I'm pretty sure I remember his thumbnail.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Yep.
Oh yeah, see it right there down at the bottom.
Yep.
So then I think I was just doing this more out of curiosity than anything, but let's take a moment. And do you know, were you able to get me some pictures of the thing? I would like to put those up on the site that I got, like the page I have.
Yeah, I mean, the memorial thing.
Yeah, like they
Yeah,
had some pictures and the story
I can
set up.
email you, yeah, or you can screenshot the video. I've got the memorial in the videos I've been dropping. So,
Well, if you got better ones, yeah, I'd like them because then I can put them up as good pictures or what.
Yeah.
But then, so was it here? Like this is showing the split between the higher level and the lower level. This like step, like they usually put the collector stuff there. Is that where it was?
And the collector stuff was there, right, on that divider wall or whatever you want to call it. As you go down on the south side, it's right there at the steps and that wall on the south side is where the memorial was. Yeah.
Okay.
But then their media passes and their vendor badges had his picture and was commemorative or whatever you want to call it too. Yeah.
Yeah, memorialized. That was kind of cool because then he's basically walking around and looking at the whole show. How cool is that?
Yeah, right.
So there's Ghost. He wasn't there this time, so this would have been one of the other times he's been there.
Right. Yep.
All right, and then I was going to jump into, because those are just general pictures, just kind of whatever, looking at them. But I was going to jump into Instagram because that's probably the best place to grab images.
Well, Santee did not use the correct hashtag. I've noticed that. She's used hashtag 0422. Most of us were using hashtag Tulsa 0422 because I've been trying to keep it consistent. So we just use Tulsa and then change the date.
So this is showing 38.
But we also were using, and of course, multiple years going to be in that, but we were using World's Largest Gun Show, I think. Hashtag World's Largest Gun Show as well. That's probably about right. 38, I would say. Yeah.
So this is a shirt guy that Gizzard took a picture of.
Yep.
This is what Gizzard taking a picture of you.
Yeah, I didn't know he was, but I was actually posting Instagram pics when he took a picture and put me on Instagram. If that's not weird, but I think we broke the universe or something doing that.
When you consider that there's this mirror behind you and it's got your back and Gizzard taking a picture of you in the picture of him taking a picture of you, if you would have been taking a picture of his leg, that would have bent the universe. But this is definitely got a back and forth thing going on.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out what this thing even is.
That was a display case that, for whatever reason, somebody wasn't using it or it broke.
It almost looks like the hot warmer at like the food court.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was a glass display case.
Okay. Well, no, but people bring in expensive stuff or fancy tiny stuff. They'll bring in those sometimes, and maybe it was broke or maybe they didn't need it. So I don't like these things. These exist. Yeah, I'm sure some people really dig this stuff.
$35,000 was the price tag on that one.
Nice. And what's the deal? It was the first semi-auto or something?
Yeah.
Or it's just some weird, complicated one?
First semi-auto and, of course, pre-NFA and all that stuff. So, yeah.
Some targets?
Yep. A boy's got a shield sometimes.
A bunch of German guns.
Yeah, that was one of the collector's displays. There was several there.
The only thing I like about Walther's is, from what I remember researching it for the deck, is that the old man was like, I'm sitting here building my pistol or whatever, and then his kid goes to school and comes back and he's like, hey, let's build something else. And his dad was like, all right, you're the one that went to, from what I understand, like, okay, you're the one that went to, got learned, so let's do it. And then it obviously has been a successful company.
Right.
So it's just cool that the dad started and then not just handed the batons when he was like old and dead, but like had faith in the kid and like they worked on it together. It seems interesting, but it's Walther and it's old
Yeah.
old German, so
Yeah.
I got enough American guns to keep track of. So is this a slight on Woods or Gizzard?
Right. No, that was pretty neat. That guy had a bunch of antique decoys, and so they're a little pricey too. There's definitely a market, collectability market with old decoys like that.
These are the kind of things where you don't see them too much at gun shows because there's whole other shows for this stuff. There's like
Yeah.
hunting shows and they'll show up,
Yes.
but then there's like shows for people that got more money than sense and they'll buy these things like they got nothing else to do because they think they look cool.
Yep.
And I think that's a little frustrating because if you're a person who's hunter or whatever, wood carver, birdist, whatever those people are called,
Yeah.
there's lots of people that like these kind of bird decoys or whatever because man, there's like art to it and there's history, right? There's like techniques of things. There's tons. I'm sure there's even people that like the carving versus the painting, right? And if it's true to the bird, I mean, I don't not even know, but I know there's a ton into this, and it's got to be super frustrating. Like I don't know nothing about this bird. You just took a random bird picture, right?
Right. Basically,
But
yeah.
if this was so and so's such and such period before she went to do such and such and became even better, you know what I mean? Like that person would be so frustrated if someone like Karen was to buy this and it's like, oh, that's the perfect doorstop for the basement.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Because that's the kind of stuff where I look at some of this stuff and I just know there's got to be those kind of stories. But that's why gun shows are so cool.
Right.
And frustrating. So this is the memorial you were talking about.
Yes.
So it looks like these are mostly like maybe commemorative pictures or like I was going to say media, but it doesn't look like there's Wayne LaPierre or whatever. But other than that, it looks like maybe
figures of interest or something.
People or something. Yeah, like
yeah, I don't want to say
display or something.
Yeah, I don't want to say famous or celebrities, but people of significance. And then that's an article, of course. It's a paper, I guess, newspaper printed up
from
or whatever.
Florida 4200. Because this is unfortunately this is about the only time, and I'm going to take my mid to soapbox. This is the only time you really get organizations like this to focus on themselves. They almost never do a decent about page. They almost never feel that what they're doing is what the people are showing up for. So they spend all their time and effort focusing on whatever the venue or the show, the calendar, the vendors, whatever.
Sure.
And rightly so or whatever. But at the same point, when I'm trying to archive everything and trying to put stuff into the to a history project and Minuteman University and all that. Well, in this case, Gun Show Loophole Tour.
Right.
Sorry, not the Gun Show Loophole Tour. The Gun Show Reviews System project. It's way older than the tour. It's been ever since I've been going to Gun or SHOT Show. I started making a website just to start my just casual interest in gun shows. So I've been archiving gun shows for a long time, and this is definitely something that will fill in a lot of gaps. And like I said, since there's basically all I've ever had was their about page, and I was going to mention it before without harking on them too bad, but their page is like the worst website on the internet.
Right. Yeah.
Oh my God. It was never good, and it hasn't ever changed. I mean, it works, and it's a testimonial to like, it doesn't matter. Like, it don't matter. Nothing matters. Like, do whatever you're going to do. But it's horrible, and it drives you nuts. It's like one of those things like, yeah, anything can suck and still work, or some things can suck and still work. But it doesn't tell you nothing is the thing. And this is going to tell me a lot more.
So I didn't get a chance to talk to Joe's kids, Carrie in particular. And that's understandable. But I do have a communique in with them to before the next show talk about some different things, the website being one of them, and in talking with, there was definitely some changes with this show. We haven't really talked about some of that, but there definitely was some changes. And in talking with people, because Joe obviously was on everybody's mind, first show, in 60 some odd years, right, that he's not there, not with us. And of course, he was on everybody's mind. And So there was some talk about, where the show goes now, and the sentiment seems to be that the kids, he was kind of resistant with some things, and I know he was sort of resistant. If you remember when we first set up to be able to go work media, they were kind of resistant to that because they had
Oh,
had the
sure.
experience. And Ghost,
Decades of being
Ghost
gunshot. Yeah.
I'll always cherish this because Joe's gone now. But Ghost and I had a sit down talk with him, probably 30 minutes that first time we went, and um, really opened him up to the idea of that. And so, it seems like, and I don't speak ill of the dead, but it just seems like it's you know, everything's worked fine, right? It's like you said earlier, for 60 years or however long it's been, and if it's all working fine, we'll just keep trudging along the way we're going. Like, he wasn't, and let's face it, he was an older dude. He didn't really understand technology that well. That's the impression I got from meeting him. And so, the kids know a little more, his kids, and they understand some of that significance and importance. So, moving forward, it's going to be interesting to see if the kids, take it and change a few things, right? Not in a bad way, but just like up the game a little bit. Be interesting.
Well, without getting too much into it tonight, I guess, because we're really just focusing on it. But I guess it's sort of the same thing. They are planning on continuing it, though. It's not
Oh,
like
yeah.
it's.
Oh, yeah.
That's good to hear. And I was going to say too, there's got to be some amount, even though he wasn't running all around doing it like he used to do. I'm sure there's got to be some amount of, without that thread there, what did that thread do? Like what where's the holes? What's not connected now that we always could depend on? We always
Right.
assumed this would just always be, but what was integral to Joe being there?
Uh-huh.
So, yeah.
Yep.
So it's interesting. I was talking to Santee, gave her some hints and mansplained the show to her so she could have a easy experience, because I mansplained it all. And I kept using M1 carbines because I don't know, for some reason I had M1 carbines in my head. So I'd be like, the people are going to be running around looking for M1 carbines or whatever. And if you're looking for a shotgun, then look for a table with M1 carbines and ask them, hey, you got my shotgun back there? Because how do you know they just didn't take one in trade or something? Like,
Right.
if you're that guy who only sees what's on the table and you think I go to Walmart and everything that's on the shelf is what's for sale, this ain't like that.
Nope.
They got M1 carbines on the table because that's what they want to talk about, but you don't know what they got under the table. And it don't cost you nothing to say, you got any shotguns?
Right. Yep.
And that's just one little technique or whatever. But and then she posts this picture of M1 carbines, and I'm like, you got M1 carbines.
Right.
I must have said it like 200 times while we were chatting. I don't know. You got some random dude to hold up badge holder, I guess. Is this a cop?
Right. Right.
So did you get a bunch of gizzard patches? I don't got a gizzard patch.
I got one. Yeah.
One?
Just one. I got one.
My goodness. I would have been like, dude, I lost my gizzard patch. I need at least 2 more.
Right.
Dude, I lost one of those. Can I get at least 1 more? So what's the deal here? Now you're selling for BB guns?
Yeah, that was a company that had they had mainly optics, and I can't remember the name of the company. They're tagged there, I'm sure, because I tagged people when and where I could. But yeah, that's just an Numerex that I thought was really cool. I mean, basically a shot-off double-barrel shotgun, but because it's an air gun, it's doesn't fall under the NFA. So, and of course, you can shoot pepper balls, and there's all kinds of things you can shoot out of it. But
It's probably super fake. Like, it's got a magazine that just shoots 100 rounds or something.
No, it was a, I don't know if it says on the picture, but it was big board. It wasn't like,
really? So
yeah,
it
wasn't like fake barrels, like 22 or 17 caliber little fake barrels. It was like big board, yeah, for shooting like pepper balls.
Like shooting the whole CO2 out to get something out of that.
Possibly, yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, then that's a lot more interesting. Did you ever get the thing that this had suction cups in it?
No,
one of my favorite guns was when I was a kid. Was this exact gun except the wood?
Oh, yeah.
And it shot 2 suction cups. Holy moly, was that gun awesome! I always had that. Always, like, I've always wanted a real one because of that gun. And then what happened was, at least for me, I played guns all the time. Played Army, played cops, played whatever it is. We're playing guns. So I'm playing guns, and I had that thing, and that was always my backup. Like, whatever, before there was a backup, that was your backup. Right? And then Road Warrior comes out, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? So everybody wants one. At least everybody, I think, our age wants one of these because of those
Right.
kind of things.
Right.
Um,
I think
so
what's interesting is even though it's an air gun, it's zip tied shut.
oh no, that was going to drive me nuts. But it makes more sense if it's like literally you could put a shotgun shell in there. Then you're saying it wouldn't fit in their chamber, but it was like wide enough.
You could put a shotgun. You could put a shotgun payload in it.
Well, I'm saying you could put a cigar in there. You could. It's
Oh
like
yeah,
a sharp
yeah.
It's a big bore. Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I really thought it was just a BB tube in the size of a big fat thing. So I just figured it was like a daisy or something. Okay.
It's
How
large
much
bore.
was it? Did you see how much it was?
No, I don't remember. I was
Right.
slipping around prices, and I don't remember honestly.
$20. Is this the place that Gizzard got a thing from, or is this some random place?
No, that was Durkin Tacticals who Gizzard got his from that time. No, this is Black Rain Ordnance. So they're there pretty much every show.
Is there something good about this one?
No, I just their rifles are awesome as far as the way they look, the Cerakote jobs and stuff they do. And so I just did a red, white, and blue, right? Go America or whatever. And they have some flag paint. They have some flag paint jobs, but I'm not a fan of the flag paint jobs, and it's probably not for the same reasons you don't like them. But I figured, heck, we'll take a picture of the red, white, and blue, and that's just as good without, having a flag on it.
Why don't you talking like this one here with the stars on the thing?
Yeah, they've got several. Yeah, they've got several that have the American flag type theme on them. But yeah,
I like it more when it just says "We the People." That's classier to me.
Yeah.
Then this is you. I thought that was Gizzard.
That was me. I noticed it was. I figured out it was. I didn't even think about it at the time, but it was Every Second Matters. So I'm like, oh crap, let's throw a couple. And I already picked up some of the little schedule cards. That's you know what I mean, the calendar cards. That's what you see, the little yellow one. You're familiar with those, I'm sure.
Yeah,
but I always pick up a handful of those because I throw those in Patreon, or if somebody buys from the store or whatever, I'll throw one of those in occasionally, just so somebody's never been, they've got something from there. Can say they've got something from there. But yeah, made a good picture there with the Every Second Matters patch to say here's where we are on the 2nd of April. There's Wes out there. Wes was with us this weekend.
This is downstairs.
No, that's upstairs.
Oh, so this is upstairs and
toward the west end. I'm sure you've been through that guy's booth before, but yeah, toward the west end on the upper floor.
Are there bathrooms on both north and south side of the west end?
There's bathrooms. Yeah.
I think. Okay,
yes,
I know where you're.
Yes.
No. Okay.
Yeah, no, there's not. There's not.
Well, then there's no way you could be taking this picture unless it's reversed. No, it's not reversed. Because the bathrooms are in the northwest corner, and that says restrooms, doesn't it? Right there.
Yeah, but there's also restrooms at the middle where we come in through the exhibitor doors. There's restrooms there. So there's restrooms.
Okay, so this is not right at the corner. This is towards the middle somewhere.
Yeah, right.
Then I don't know if I've been to this booth. Honestly, I wouldn't look at a booth like this because this stuff is all going to cost way more. I grew up playing in this jacket, that Eisenhower jacket with no stuff on it.
Right.
Like back in the day, people would take their stuff off, so you would just get them empty. And I could get an empty used one they probably just gave it to me because I was a little kid. So these Eisenhower jackets were the shit. I love that thing. And then all this stuff. Like I just grew up playing with all this stuff. And now I don't even want to think about what that stuff costs now.
Oh, yeah. I didn't price any of it. I just thought it was a neat display.
Yeah. But I'm just saying in real life, I wouldn't look at this because this is all going to be somebody who's interested in reenactment or setting up a dummy mannequin for like a show or setup or something. And
right.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, I'd be like, I have one of these and I have that and I have that. And I'm wondering what it's worth. Right. But the problem is, this is one of the extremes. This isn't like what it's worth. This is what it's worth at Wanamaker Gun Show in 2022. Right.
Right.
But And the thing is, anyway, so and normally, yeah, I'd acknowledge this. Maybe if there was something back in the day, I'd poke around to see if there was a bayonet I wanted. But
Right.
these kind of booths, I've seen just too many of them in my life, and I don't know nothing about half of this stuff. So I would not in a show like Wanamaker. Personally, this stuff, like I say, I grew up wading in this stuff, so none of it. The thing is, I don't know nothing about any of it. You know what I mean? Like I owned stuff because it was interesting, or I could buy it. It's not because I was like, oh, I like this because it's the Navy or something. I just was like, oh, this is 5 cents. All right, I need a jacket, or I need a
Right.
hat, or whatever.
Right.
And then, what's the deal with the? Is this the one you always go to, or something?
Well, that's Gizzards. Gizzards.
Oh, this is Gizzards.
Beef jerky people. Yeah. Right.
I don't know. I know that a couple of y'all got traditions and stuff, but we don't really all sit around doing the same thing when we're there, which I appreciate. That's why I like looking at things like this. What I kind of like is to do something like this every time, right? So that everybody gets together and goes, oh, the reason I like this is because this guy, blah, 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 one time, or,
Right.
said, oh, did you know this guy supports something? And every time you buy a beef Wellington jerky, it, supports something. And so that's the kind of stuff that, is pretty neat. So this one was just a shop you like, huh? You're not into
that was a I can't remember the name of it. Indian something, maybe Armory, out of what are they out of? Okmulgee, maybe Okmulgee. But anyway, I like their logo, their design, and what caught my eye was just the amount of HK stuff they had there. They had quite a bit of HK stuff, and get to talking with them, notice their logo, their logo is freaking cool. And I'm like, Indian Territory, thanks, Wes. And I was like, man, y'all should really have that done in a patch, right? And they're like, yeah, we've been looking. So I hooked them up with one of my patch guys, and took some pictures, of course, of a couple of SIGs and HKs they had on the table, just because.
What is this thing?
I honestly don't remember.
Farbum? I can't zoom in.
Oh, Fab Arm, that's an HK. Yeah, it's going to be a shotgun.
Fab Arm is an HK?
Yeah, Fab Arm is an HK built shotgun. Yeah, it's a sub brand or
that a
whatever.
bolt handle coming off of it?
I don't know. I'd have to
charging handle.
Into a bigger bit. I don't remember. Yeah, probably.
Are those things Impulse like some of their other, or those are Benelli's?
Yeah, those are Benelli's. No, those are pretty standard action. Yeah.
Where am I going? I'm going the other way. So, that was that one with just a bunch of scrolls. So then this is some knife place. You know this place?
No, I haven't heard of them prior to the show, and their stuff is expensive. I did put the prices over. I don't want to get crazy, banned on Instagram or whatever, but yeah, like those little knives there were like $250. Yeah, they're pricey, but I mean,
but if somebody's cutting their own metal, maybe it costs more.
They're nice knives, and when talking with the dude, I mean, they put there's a lot of time and stuff involved in them. So, and they certainly were beautiful. I like that one dagger style. There was one of my favorites.
One?
There, yeah, I really like the blade, the handle design, and all on that one. But yeah, I just thought you see cheap knives all over gun shows, but. When you start getting into some of the more expensive stuff, you can just tell the craftsmanship and everything.
Well, I was asking Ghost or whatever in that chat you guys were doing that there's all these people that are like, blah, 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 get whatever works. I got tons of stuff that just works or whatever, and that's the stuff that I got around. But then I like to also have some things that are awesome, because one of the things is people are like, blah, 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 if ever I got a barter or whatever. Yeah, who ain't going to want to barter for an awesome-ass knife when there's not a Walmart to go buy one at or a Amazon to buy one off of?
Yes, Wes, that is White River knives, yes.
White River Knife and Tool. Is that in Texas?
I'm not real sure where they're from.
They look nasty.
I don't recall.
What that?
I don't recall.
Oh, I know what that was. I had a little pest that no longer exists. All right, so then crossbow, showing the bows.
Right. Yeah, that was just a random. I that may be the first crossbow I've ever seen in Tulsa. To be quite honest with you,
Really? I think I've seen them before, but I guess I was just
I
guessing. I don't know.
probably have, but
I mean, I'm sure I've seen like some old fashioned wood one,
but
and
you
you
don't
know what I mean,
see
like
many.
not this kind of thing. You're right.
Yeah.
Well, like I say, I'm sure, but yeah, not regularly. There's no crossbow guys. There's a cannon guy.
Oh yeah, there's quite a few cannon guys. I think Santee took some pictures of cannons. Did not price the Mosins, but I thought that was just cool. A cool table with all the, and he actually had a crate with 2 SKSs in it on that table too. But
Well, these came out of a crate more than likely
yeah,
too.
yeah, and I thought that was a cool pick. That's a lot of nice clean Mosins right there in one picture on one
Mhm.
table. So it's kind of neat. I mean, how
This is
often do you see a table like that, right?
well nowadays. I don't know, but yeah, back in the day, all the damn time because this was a
Oh yeah,
case,
yeah, yeah.
and these
Nowadays,
things would cost you what's 80 times 12, $1,000, and
yeah,
you'd have this many guns in a case under the table with all the stuff that's in those baggies and whatnot.
yep,
And then, yeah, if you bought SKSs, it was the same way, maybe add $30 or something per gun.
right.
But and the thing is, you wouldn't see people that did this unless they didn't have nothing else, because you'd see one or two Mosins, because this is actually detrimental. So, and that's something else that I've got to bite my tongue. I listen to so many people, a couple of people that work at gun shops I'll have a discussion with, because there's different strategies and different tactics of working at a gun shop. And I know work at a gun shop. Working at a gun shop 9 to 5 would probably be horrible. I hung out at a gun shop
Yeah,
and occasionally would help them when they were super busy or for certain things.
right.
So I've worked at a gun shop, but I never had to work at a gun shop very often, right? So, but anyway, as far as sales techniques, I would have got in trouble if I put this many out on the table, because what you're going to get is a bunch of looky-loos fiddling with them all day long, and nobody buys nothing. Because when you give them this many options, they're going to fiddle with however many they're going to fiddle with. It's going to be 6 to 10 or all of them or two or whatever.
Right.
But they're definitely, their brain's going to go, there's going to be more, and I'm going to go look. And they're just going to keep looking. So you're going to spin a collector off into collector mode. You put 2 on the table, and somebody goes, I'm buying one, which is the best, done, and they're gone. You throw another one on the table, and there's always just 2 on the table.
Right.
And that's a better strategy for moving these Mosins.
Right.
So this is somebody who doesn't have that philosophy or doesn't know how to sell Mosins yet.
Yeah.
Or any gun. I mean, that doesn't necessarily sound Mosins, but anytime you got 12 at something, you don't put 12 at something on the table. There's got, unless they're 12 different ones, and then that's a whole nother debate. Do you put all 12 on the table, or do you put the 2 extremes on the table and let somebody ask you about that one in the middle? So those people automatically, you got that threshold, and you're talking to a collector, somebody knows what they're talking about.
Right.
And then the other thing is, if you don't know what you're doing and you put 12 Mosins on the desk, nobody even, here's the thing, I'm going to give this to you for free because you're listening to my podcast. You can say you're welcome by super chatting me. You put this many, you know what I'm going to say? You put this many Mosins on a table, the odds that there's one of these that's different is pretty good, because there's a shit ton of Mosins, and the numbers aren't what the gun is. It could be anything. You don't even have to know what you're looking at. If there's 12 of them and one's different, buy it and go home and figure out what you bought. And you probably made money, and you might have made a fortune. Am I crazy, or is that a thing?
That's true. Yeah. No.
And you know what I'm saying? Like, nobody in their right mind puts all of their collection on the table like this, unless they know what it is and they're satisfied that they don't have anything good in there. Because this is the way you find gold in a gun show. You're welcome, and you can super chat me, because you're going to make money with that technique right there.
That's true.
I hesitate to say that stuff, but I'm getting old and I don't have any money to spend at gun shows anyway, so I might as well pass the knowledge on. All right, so then this dude, you hang out with this guy or just at the show?
No, just at the show.
Do you follow his Instagram?
No.
Oh, okay, so you're missing out. So it's Handgun Hideouts, right?
Yeah.
I can't figure out how to click it. I'm too old, but I'd have to open up another window. But this dude will go look at his Instagram, because I think we're getting towards the end here at some point. That dude has a really good strategy. Let's just go look at it, because you're going to have other people you're going to want to talk about. So I'm going to open up a new window. I'm going to go to the Instagram if I can find it. And then it's like Handgun Hideouts, or I think it's Handgun Hideouts. It's not Hideouts first, is it? Handgun Hideouts. Look at this guy's Instagram. He's selling his book cutout deals like we just seen, right?
Yep.
Pretty good mix of like, what do you call this? Memetry,
Right.
memetry, and a gun or two, right? Pretty decent. I don't know. He's not, winning Instagram or nothing. He could, but look at this. Oh, wait, I picked the one, of course. Oh, come on. Normally, you click on one. What is it, messing with me? Normally, you click on one and then it shows you his book. Like he gets you to look at the meme and then he puts his book behind it. I don't know why it's doing it. Maybe it's because I'm looking at it on the phone, or I'm not looking at it on the phone. But normally, it'll be like, here's the joke, and then it'll be a picture of whatever book he's got going that day.
Right.
Oh, look at how cruddy it made his book picture. You think it's because, is it showing up cruddy for you?
I don't know.
It's all goofy looking. Oh, so I bet you it's because his account's getting screwed with. I'm saying it's internet censorship. But anyway, I thought that guy's got a pretty neat. I've never met him, just from you and Gizzard, whoever else knows him. And I started watching that Instagram because I thought it was such a clever way to get people's attention. A reason to follow the page because he doesn't put out extreme memes. It's just kind of like, oh, I haven't seen that one. That's funny. Kind of meme. I want to show this to somebody. Kind of memes. And then he slips his books in behind, and then it gets like everybody to go, oh wow, so you send that to somebody, and it's like, oh, that's funny. What's this guy? Oh, he's selling these books. It's pretty handy. Is this Weston?
That is Wes, yeah.
And then the deal is, I was wondering because you said holding down the OK2A. Were you sitting at the table or something then?
Wes was working the.
That's what I'm saying. So like, I can't really tell from here. But he sat in front of a table then with some handouts and stuff.
Yes, correct.
Right on. Yeah. Well, I guess I'll give it a heart then. Not in a gay way, just in an Instagram way.
All right.
So then it took me a minute to figure this out. I dig it. And you got Logan to dig it.
Yeah, it's that guy had a lot of old display stuff, which was and that display, by the way, right there. He had a couple of those like brand new in the box, right? They were all flat. You'd have to take them out and bend them and tape them together. And yeah.
How much were those?
I didn't price them.
Huh?
I did not price them.
Oh, okay. I wonder if that's actually old or if this was something from like the 1990s. It's just made to look old.
No, it's actually old. You can tell that was from like the 50s, I want to say he said, and you can tell
super
so
cool.
the box is sitting on is like the new ones. I say new old, right? Whatever. And you can tell from the box and the paper and they're legit. They're old. You know how cardboard gets when it's old. You know what I mean? I don't know how you would age it, cheat it all like that, but yeah. And he had a lot of cool display stuff, not just that, but that one.
That thing is super sharp. I mean, I don't know what it is about when shotgun shell boxes, but they got whoever is able to make optical crack cocaine. Like there's some really neat looking, what is that called? Marketing graphics. I don't know.
Right.
Logo tree. And then you got Logan. He doesn't ever say nothing to my stuff. So you got him to put that display is straight fire emoji.
Right.
And then you got your steel guy.
Yeah, some more shameless.
No, go ahead then, because I got something since I seen Gizzard is out here. I am going to take a second to go do something real quick, and then take a second if you wouldn't mind. Talk about high caliber targets and how you met them and relationship you got with them, because I need maybe 5-10 minutes even.
Yeah.
Hopefully not that long. I'll be right back.
Yeah, high caliber targets. They're actually out of Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. So met those at the very first show we went to. And I think prior to that show, I'd had some mild steel out on the range that was getting tore up, and I'd ordered a couple of targets from someplace online. I can't remember where now. So I had a couple of really good pieces of steel, but talking with them, and they use a higher than normal type of AR-500 steel. Got some really cool hanger assemblies and other things. That particular one is the portable system that you can use conduit and hang your targets. And then they got stuff for 2x4s, and they've got stuff for T-posts. Actually brought home 2 hangers for T-posts, and cut some T-posts day before yesterday, as a matter of fact, to get some more steel in the range. But yeah, about all the steel you see on the channel comes from them. And then they've also, I don't remember if we did that like from the very first time we met, they started doing the whole Patreon giveaway thing or not. But every month we do they give away a 6-inch AR-500 steel target to a Patreon member. I think it's on the, well, I know it is. It's on the $5 tier or higher, but so pretty good odds of people. We've had a lot of, over the years as they've done that, we've had some repeat steel target winners, and I think Wes out there, can't remember if Wes has got one, but I'm pretty sure Wes has one of their targets. Yeah, it's good stuff. And a lot of the designs that they have too. They've got various designs. I was just kind of showcasing the portable setup there, but they've got different linked hooks, and then they've got zombies, and they've got all kinds of animals. Metal art too. They have had some of that on the table. If you're familiar with it, it's the type of stuff you hang on your side of your garage or your door or outside of your house or whatever. Got some cool stuff, but they've got actually I haven't been to their new facility, but did actually get a tour one time. Stayed over. It's the only time I've ever stayed over in Tulsa and left out on a Monday. But actually went and visited their facility and got to see the cutter they use. I mean, they pulled like a 12 foot or something piece of steel. I think it's 8 foot by 12 foot or something. And yeah, lay that thing down on a table and program in the machine, and it cuts all the designs out. And there's very, very little, if any, waste. Just really cool because it's, computerized. You can lay things out properly. But yeah, don't mind shilling for those guys because they help out with Patreon and the targets we've seen earlier when we first kicked off, Outdoor Products Plus. So met those guys too and secured that relationship, and I've had that ever since, I think 2017. Sound like G's back though.
Yep. So thanks for that. And I just think it's neat because, well, we just went right into it, but yeah, the whole, you go into Tulsa to check it out and gun channels. I don't know if that was the first time. Certainly wasn't the first time going to SHOT Show or nothing like that, but it was first time that regular people that weren't going to some kind of industry invite only type of thing got motivated to start meeting up and using our First Amendment right to assemble and the First Amendment press and I guess free speech or whatever, but to meet up and travel. Is that one of those things, or is that the?
Yeah.
But anyhow, so and then you could have gone there and been like, yeah, hey, I just got a press pass. You guys should have got a press pass too. You know what I mean? And then,
right.
What would that have done to the people there? I mean, a whole different thing if they would have been swamped by a whole bunch of people and then been like, oh no, and then somebody would have had to been accountable in a whole different way to evaluate whether or not they would have been capable of doing that, what the results would have been. They might have never seen another press pass, might have seen a whole different situation, with them being shy before and whatever. But instead, Clover was like, oh, let's get as many people in here as we can. And then we got the table and everything. And then, it's become a tradition or whatever. And the people, the vendors, right, and then I'm guessing some of the folks that just show up are, more and more accustomed to cameras that are official and the idea that the show itself has press and that they're part of the evolution of stuff. So can't even imagine with what, sometimes 30, I want to say 30. Do we have that many people sometimes showing up with cameras and running all around at the heyday?
We have before.
Yeah, it's just a different type of situation for a giant show like that than oh, I don't think you're allowed to take a picture. Maybe not. I never seen anybody with a camera here. I mean, that stuff would have evolved anyway. But anyway, I
Right.
just wanted to take a second to kind of
Well,
discuss.
there's obviously a lot of people that take pictures and do video without having a press pass, but you run the risk because I've had while filming. I mean, it almost every single show I get one security person that's like, "You can't be filming" or whatever, and then it's like, show them your press pass, and they're like, "Oh, sorry, we didn't realize, sorry." So you could, if you try to do it guerrilla style, you could get kicked out. So don't want that to happen.
It just stresses people out and stuff. So, in the past, I'm going to show something real quick here. I've been working on 3D printed stuff. So I made this 3D printed Gizzards logo, right? Gizzard has a logo. You've seen it before. And then it's a little wobbly because of the whole idea that I have it set on a gun channel's G so that it holds it together. Otherwise, these would do two separate things. Gizzard's on here, but he ain't on there that hard, right? It's a little fragile because he's got little tiny chicken legs and whatnot. So, and that's literally the only thing holding it all together. And then one of the things I've been working on is this, making these 3D, I'm calling them 80% ghost patches, where they're Velcroed, but they're made out of, with those no serial numbers on a 3D printer, right? So then as I was playing with these and making these things, I'm thinking, how do I take this to the next level? And how do I accomplish another gizzard situation here? So that got us to this. So now we have, I had to do it in green because I got green in there right now, but now we have the evolution of our logo patches into 3D versions of stuff with Velcro on them. Anyway, I don't know if he's still awake, but that just happened this evening. The evolution of patches to
That's cool.
80% polymer. All right, so I don't know where we're at with these things. Like I say, we're probably getting towards the end. However, I didn't see very many gizzards. Oh, no, there's some gizzard ones in here. So we do got gizzards ones in here, and we didn't get Santees in here, though.
You're not screen sharing anymore, by the way.
Oh, I'm not? I didn't.
Well, you may have just clicked on your thing. Yeah. There you go.
I was also going to say this is a good picture of the button that has Joe on it also.
Correct.
And
then, Santee, like I said, Santee is just using hashtag 0422. So
that's going to be tougher. That's going to throw in with a bunch of stuff, probably.
Possibly, yeah.
Now, this is hers. She just used this once, I guess.
Yeah, it's her and her husband.
But I mean, see, this is, I'm saying it showed up in her. This is her account.
Yeah.
So she did use it here. And this would have been 5 days ago, but that doesn't help me. Stupid Instagram doesn't tell you the date. It just tells you how far in relation to today. I don't know why. It's lame. And I guess this is the last one because I don't got a little daily over here anymore. And that was, I can go back. Does that do? Oh, no, it doesn't work. So we'll just go to Santee's channel then. And I'm guessing it'll just be the pictures. So Santee had been to gun shows before or not at all?
Yes, she had.
Okay. So this was going to the giant gun show, I guess, and traveling to the gun show. So she got some pictures of these kits. Maybe she's looking for a bag. Maybe it's because she's a girl. Girls can't help but take pictures of bags, maybe. But then she got pictures in MG34 also. So maybe it's because girls can't help but take pictures of MG34s. I don't know. Then how do I get it to, will it go next like that with, I guess not. I have to click on each one. And then what, she only has 6 pictures on her Instagram account? That don't make no sense.
No, that's you got to click on her thing. There you go. No, what that's doing is showing you. Yeah, you should be able to go next. If you click there, you should have on any of those, you should have the little arrow on the picture.
There we go. Okay, so somehow I must have clicked on something bad.
Yeah.
So there's this way when you're all eating someplace?
That is when we went out to eat, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So she did the typical selfies. I've never been into that, but I know a lot of the kids like doing this stuff. And now this one is you're all eating again at the place
No,
So,
no, we weren't eating. That's just where we met.
Oh, okay.
Because that was an easy landmark, right? You're talking about somebody new to the show, so it's like, where
Oh,
are
that's
you?
good.
You know, and it's
Yeah.
like, look at the restaurant, the places to eat or whatever. I'm like, look up. I'm in front of the chicken coop place. You know,
Now, in this picture, do you happen to know when this one was? Like what time during the show?
that was, to my knowledge, shortly before lunch on Saturday.
Okay, so that helps a lot. So this is the first day's show before lunch. So should be, I mean, if there's the most crowded time, this should be the most crowded time if there is one.
Hmm.
I'm seeing a giant hole here. So is this like a giant ammo place, and this is just their just pit in the middle? You see what I'm saying? Like I can't zoom in good on Instagram. Man.
I can't see it, so I don't know.
Okay, so that was blowing me away. That there, it almost looks like if you're at a rodeo or something, and they have like bales of hay around an area, so you don't walk in there.
Yeah, it may have been. It may have been earlier than that or something, because I can assure you, even the crowds were, pre-COVID level.
Well, okay, but then I was also going to say I was trying to see. She doesn't have that many pictures, I guess, because this is already something before. So this must have been her first picture, the M1s, and then here's this picture. Whenever you guys took the picture together, there's almost nobody in front of the food court. So it either had to be nowhere near food time.
It wasn't.
And then also it means there's nobody even there's not that many people in there that it's elbow to elbow. I've been in here where these areas you wouldn't even walk through here if you lost a bet. Like that would,
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it was, like I said, that was earlier. I don't know when, but that was earlier in the day on Saturday. But like I said,
Can't tell
before
nothing
lunch.
from these. But then like this, look at how empty that aisle is right there. Like there's two people standing there in a whole empty aisle.
Yeah.
I just noticed this on a couple of the pictures, and it wasn't all. I was doing a search on I did a search for Tulsa, I think Tulsa Gun Show, because I figured, if you're not with gun channels, you just might post something like Tulsa Gun Show, right? And I just was looking at it, and I'm like, because these things were posted recently, and I was just thinking like, wow, these aisles aren't full, but I don't know when the pictures are taken, so something like this one. It's not very full. I mean, it's not like there's nobody there, but I mean, it's not the most. I'm trying to think of like another. We talked about the eras and stuff, but like at a shortage of ammunition or a presidential election where everybody's super scared, like you won't have a gap like this. Like this lady would be frustrated because she would barely be able to see, around because there'd be so many people standing around. Anyway, so when you say pre-levels, it was still not so crowded that everyone was in misery to be there. It was You were still able to get around, and if you needed to get from one side to the other, oh look at that, you could get there. Like you weren't going to be like, well, I don't even know if I could get that far. Oh, this is my picture. This is why I like going to these shows. I bought this one time for I don't even remember, but I was blown away. I was looking for 1 or 2 rounds, and I got all of this. Super stoked. I guess a whole bunch of these are mine. Is that my hashtag? What the hell? Maybe I use Tulsa Gun Show. I guess it's just a good hashtag to use because it describes it, huh?
Right.
But I didn't exclusively use one show hashtag ever. This was you, wasn't it? Why does this make me think this is you? Oh, this has nothing to do with you. I think because you sent me a couple of these, two reds and 2 greens one time. Well, I remember they're giving away samples. Is that a thing? Have you ever seen a place give you 5 or 4 rounds as a sample? That's awesome.
Yeah, right.
Holy moly! I never thought about getting free sample rounds from someplace.
Right. I've seen it quite a bit. It's pretty common in the reloading world, especially to get a handful of bullets, 5 or 6 or something, to test and reload. So it doesn't surprise me with ammo either.
You mean projectile bullets?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. You're right. And even at SHOT Show, that's one thing you can get at SHOT Show is you can get like a couple of 5 or a handful of a projectile that's so good or new or whatever, and take it home and do whatever, reload them, measure them, whatever you're gonna do.
Yep.
So Weston's saying Saturday was pretty busy. Sunday was not as bad. typical, though. That's how typical every gun show in the world is. That's the swing of a gun show. Church and people that have other things to do, and they stack it up and they do the gun show first. They figure if they're going to spend the money at the gun show, and then that's the other things. People spend their money and then they got no reason to go back because they're crazy. So this is $10. You go both days, and it's definitely worth it. I saw some pictures. I wonder. I'm not going to spend all night because we've been on here for a while. But if you feel like it, go online, search for Wanamaker Gun Show, search for Tulsa Gun Show, and whatever platform you like to search on, and you'll see pictures. I saw some of the line, and somebody was saying that they were there. Well, I think it was a YouTube video. That's why I'm not finding them on Instagram. But it was somebody that was saying they were there at 7:30, and there was still already a line, and people were waiting for. Oh, what time did it open? At 8? I guess I don't know.
8 or 8:30, I think the doors open to the public. I can't remember.
So at 7:30, people were waiting for a half an hour to get in.
Oh yeah.
However, it's not their first time at the rodeo. When they open the doors, it happens pretty quick, and the place starts to fill up. And what is it? Do they say how many attendees? Do they say how many attendees?
I'll eventually find out, but I mean, we were in the, easily in the tens of thousands.
So it's not like it takes them all day to get those people in. They probably send in, 10 or 20, more than a couple of thousand in the first couple.
Once the line starts moving, it moves pretty quick. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it happens very quickly.
Yeah,
and then it's about as fast. You're not going to get in there and just run all around. So you're going to get in there and start walking. So anyway, yeah, it's definitely it's an experience. It's $10, I guess is what I was getting at. $10, no charge for parking at all. You just park. Huge parking lot, so that's, I guess, a thing. Weather, temperature wise, it looked like it was pretty comfortable for everybody this year.
Yeah, it was nice. Yeah.
And then it's typically, maybe it's not. Sometimes it's cold or hot, whatever. It's the world. We live in it. Yeah. But the event itself is totally worth experiencing. Some of the stuff we didn't talk about, maybe we can end on that. Eating, staying at hotels, traveling around Tulsa, the other things to do in Tulsa, how much time you should spend on the trip because of so many other cool things to do in Tulsa. That the fact that Tulsa is closed basically on Monday, it's like being in Utah or something. Anything else that's kind of we didn't even get to, but could be a whole nother show even. Well,
yeah, I mean, there's a lot. There could be a lot of stuff to cover on that. I mean, obviously, if you've never been to J.M. Davis, I suggest making it a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and going to J.M. Davis Museum on Friday. As far as staying, if it was me, I mean, I would take a chance. There were some people that I know that went this time that took a chance on some pretty shady places to stay. Our usual place, or what we've kind of made our usual, is the La Quinta in Claremore, which is where the J.M. Davis Museum is, and it's not that far. It's less than 20 minutes, I would say, from the show. And problem is, it was all booked up, so we had to stay at Owasso, and the price was about the same. Distance was maybe just a little bit closer, but I will tell you that Owasso, as far as places to eat around there, and then also some of the amenities and other things in that hotel, was better. So that worked out.
Is that where the whale is?
No,
it's not just down the street from.
No, the whale is. I can't think of the name of the West out there. He can probably tell you, but that's not Owasso.
But is it in that? Is it on the way to J.M. Davis, or is it a totally different direction?
It's on the way to J.M. Davis. Yeah, it's on.
Oh, it sounded.
It's on Route 66. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's basically just somewhere along the route without going all the way out there.
Right. Yeah.
Which is just as good, because really, it's not like you need to be out there. It's not like you get. I suppose there is probably a certain amount of energy, vibe, so to speak, that you're going to get from being near the J.M. Davis Museum. As someone who's spent the night in the J.M. Davis Museum parking lot, you do get sort of superpowers of guns, because it seeps through, not like radiation as much as like cosmoline, like aroma, and it seeps right through the van walls, India. So if you sleep closer to it, you will get more awareness of guns.
Right.
I can sense an old ass gun in another room now. Whale is in Catoosa. Thanks.
Yep.
Is more north of Tulsa. Oh, okay.
Yep.
Oh, is it over by that stupid range that nobody likes? No, is it over by that range? The name sounds familiar though, but maybe it's because I'm looking at maps of Tulsa.
Yeah, you got me. I don't know.
Anyway, so yeah, we got a lot of things we could talk about. If anybody wants to talk about more than that, I appreciate, or feel free to leave comments wherever it is you're finding this. I appreciate Clover jumping in and sticking around late and longer than we expected, but it's going to happen when we're talking about gun shows, especially this one. Actually, we probably did pretty good. I think we did a fairly decent job of wrapping it up. I'm sure we went on a couple of tangents there that could have been taken out, but again, thanks everybody for showing up for the live section. People that listen to this in the recording, I've been posting this on UGE Tube, and I'm looking for some comments. I get a bunch of views over there, and it seems like there's a lot of interesting stuff over there, but I don't get much comments. I post stuff on guntube.org, same thing. I know a lot of people do use guntube.org. I'm not sure if people are using it just to listen, which is possible. If you're working shift work or something and you're listening to this in headsets, it's not really possible to leave feedback. I understand. But if you would, every once in a while, for everybody, not just me, like Clover, I'm sure would appreciate it. Take a minute and say, as you're downloading stuff or as you're recording stuff, leave a comment. Hey, I listen to your shows in the evenings, or I listen to your shows on weekends, or when I commute to the base or something, like whatever it is, so that we get some idea of how to tune it into you. But post stuff on Odyssey, and I'm going live on Odyssey soon. I just have to. It's already set up. I just have to start doing it. I have to set it up in StreamYard, I guess.
Right.
But so now we'll be streaming on. I'm gonna start streaming on Twitch and Odyssey whenever I go live. So I'm curious to hear from people on other platforms, especially that might not like YouTube, what you think of that, and if you're interested, and give us some feedback on that element of it. Otherwise, Clover, take the rest of the show. Plug anything you might want. I know you've been doing a series with people you met up with at SHOT Show, and then others. I don't know how you got it. Like, how'd you get the armed attorneys on today? Is that just
just a matter of reaching out to them? Yeah.
You didn't meet them at SHOT, I mean.
No, no, I don't know that they've ever even been to any industry events, which is interesting. But yeah, yeah. I mean, I've got one more as far as the podcast. I've been doing those on Wednesday and Thursday. Had a little bit of a break a few weeks back, but got one more next week. I only got one lined up, which is My Medic. So we'll be talking medical stuff, but and then probably push the pause button on that until after the NRA show, and I'll be able to make some contacts and talk to some folks and get some more stuff scheduled out. But yeah, I've got tomorrow. There'll be got a couple videos with my ammo guy there at Antique Ammo Collector or whatever there at Tulsa. Got a couple videos to drop, and then I think maybe one more. I've got I think 4 videos total from Tulsa to get out, and then we'll be back to sort of the regularly scheduled programs anyway until NRA. Got to get caught up on some other stuff. But thanks for doing this and talking Tulsa. Yeah, it's late, and I'm gonna jump.
Right on. Thanks again for jumping in and staying up late. And again, if you're interested in hearing more about shows, let us know in the comments. Thank you. So let us know what you think. We'll be watching the comments wherever you find the video, over on gunstreamer.com or on guntube.org. Thank you for supporting our projects. If you'd like to buy us a cup of coffee, check out our Patreon channel.
The guys and gals of gunwebsites.com encourages you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thank you for watching gunwebsites.com.